Today, I'll be speaking about how you can successfully free yourself from the inner challenges that cause you difficulty and distress, and that prevent you from becoming the person that you want to be or to living the life that you wish to have for yourself. This video is for you if, simply put, you're not finding your way to actually making the change that you want to make in your life, no matter what that change is. Or if you think you already know what your solution is, but you're still stuck in that I just have to do it place, or I just have to stop doing it. This video is for you if you're beaten down by the fear, anxiety, confusion, or negativity that inhabits your body. Or if you're lost in the never-ending hamster wheel of self-improvement. I'm Daniel Piatek, and my intent is to inspire and motivate you to take up and persevere with your hero's quest, your journey of individuation, of becoming who you truly are, of embodying your unique genius, your individual spark of the divine. So let's dive into today's topic, how to free yourself from your inner demons and terrifying fears. Fun topic, right? So let's start with what I mean when I'm referring to inner demons and terrifying fears. These are things like doubt, fear, anxiety, beliefs of I can't, I'm not good enough, or who would want me? They can be distressing or crippling emotional states. Or could be things like the thoughts that just won't stop racing, or mental confusion, or being lost in indecision. It can also look like you saying, I don't know why, but I just can't do this, or I just can't stop myself from doing that. It's anything that is keeping you from being able to express yourself or live in the world in the way that you want to. So let's dive in and explore what to do about this. But make sure you stay to the end, where I'll share with you something that you can do practically that will actually begin to transform these things for you. So the first thing I'd like to talk about may or may not be something that you can easily get. So for those of you who have had spiritual experiences, you may have some reference point for what I'm talking about. But my first point that I want to bring up to have you start to have as an alive question in your experience is, who am I? Who is this me that is having this difficulty? Now, this is not meant to be purely a philosophical point. And in fact, engaging in this question is at the bottom of making profound changes in how you relate to all the distressing parts of your experience. Who am I really? Who do I think I am, this one in here? Who do I think I am that is completely riddled with fear? Who is it that I am who is lost in self-doubt? Who am I? So now, this can be looked at from a couple different lenses. So I mentioned people that have engaged in spiritual searches, or maybe something has just come out of the blue, where you have an experience of yourself or of life which doesn't fit into any ideas of who you think you are. Some sense of who I am that exists beyond this body, beyond this world even. Some other sense of, wow, I don't know what that is, but oh my God, that's really profound who I am. Now, another way to approach this is if you've seen the Matrix movies, for instance, the way they portray who that person is very interesting. The reality of who they are isn't who it is that they think they are living in their day-to-day life. This kind of thing is talked about when people talk about, do we live in a simulation? This question, is this world and is this person that I think I am, is this in essence like that world, that avatar when I go to play video games? Is there something about this world which isn't true? And am I something other than this version of me here? Who am I? Now, the reason that this is important in the work that I do and how I help people to look at the challenges in their life is it's the pivot that can change everything. And it's not just believe this about yourself. Believe that you are something more than this, because that doesn't necessarily really go very far. But asking myself, who am I really? Am I this doubt? Or am I something more? Am I something more than just this experience of doubt? So the way that I speak about this is I will say who we are is whole, perfect, and complete. We're not broken. There's nothing wrong with us. Who we really are, who we truly are, right here, right now. What I call our unique genius. The reason this is important is that most approaches to helping people, to healing, to getting better, to improving oneself, to transformation even. I have a question whether a lot of what's talked about in terms of transformation is in fact worthy of that word. Is approached from the perspective of this person that I'm trying to help. Me here that I'm trying to help. I'm broken and I'm trying to put the pieces back together. There's some fundamental flaw or something that is deeply wrong with me that I'm trying to fix or repair or cover over. You see, because that has us approaching things in a certain way. But that is not how I approach my work. And it is not at all in the worldview of the practical mystic. To the practical mystic, who I am is whole, perfect, and complete. I am having difficulty in my life of different sorts. I am having challenges. I am riddled by fear. But who I am is whole, perfect, and complete. And my work is not to try to put the broken pieces back together, but it is something very different. It's to extricate my whole, perfect, and complete self from these beliefs, from this old patterning, from this old trauma, which has me believing that I am broken. These are very different, and that may or may not be obvious to you at this point, but I'm going to ask you to simply consider, I might be much more than I think I am, and I'm having a difficult time. Point number 2 is that when we're dealing with these kinds of challenges, which are not merely some passing phase or something that comes and goes, and it's happening so much in the world right now, is things like people that are really crippled by fear. This fear is being fed by many sources right now. But unless we actually target the source of what is causing that to arise up in our experience, in our emotions, in our thinking, in our bodies, unless we're getting to the source of that in us, we won't actually be able to get beyond it. Oftentimes in our approaches to healing, whether it's the kinds of things we're talking about here, sort of emotional, psychological, soul level kind of things, or medical profession looking at trying to heal the physical body, what is happening is really nothing more than trying to feel better, trying to have the symptoms go away. People are not looking at trying to get down to the source of what allows that to happen. So we have to use different tools and different approaches to get to the sources of these kinds of challenges that I'm talking about today. Because the source of these lives deep in our unconscious mind. It lives deep in our bodies as unresolved trauma from the past. It lives in our cells, deeply embedded ways of being that we've been raised up within. And you see, this is where this point that I brought up at the beginning about who am I is really important. Because if who I consider myself to be is merely my genetics and how I was raised and the effects of this past trauma, then the most I can hope for is just to try to feel better and get through it. And that is not the work that I do and that I'm talking about here. Let me be very clear about that. I'm talking about getting down to the source of what's having us believe that we are other than who we truly are, which is whole, perfect, and complete. We were there when mom and dad weren't paying attention and maybe doing awful things to us. It saw everything that happened. It experienced them, but is completely untouched, unaffected, and unbroken by those things. If we are merely just wanting to feel better, to have the uncomfortableness go away, we won't have what we need in order to get to the root and root these things out at the bottom. And that's doable. It's completely doable. But one must look differently, see differently, think differently, and approach it differently in order to get there. So if you're finding this video helpful, please give it a like. I'd appreciate that. Now, point number 3. The symptom is the healing trying to happen. The symptom is the healing trying to happen. So what do I mean by symptom? Fear, doubt, anxiety, self-doubt, lack of energy, lack of motivation, terror. These symptoms are healing trying to happen. Now, this is built into more Eastern ways of looking at the healing of the body, for instance. And when you look at that this way, you, in essence, work with the process that is happening in the body, in the being, for the wisdom that is built into our beingness to do what it is trying to do, to put out the cause of the sickness. Work with it. More Western approaches merely try to make the symptoms go away. And this is the case also with us. I'm just going to take fear as the example, but no, when I talk fear, I'm talking about everything that we've talked about in this video, the inner demons and those things that deeply terrify us. So fear happens. And what seems to be built into us, almost like impulsively, is to try to get the hell away from it, make it go away. And we don't really often know much more to do than that. Especially if the fear is really irrational or we can't trace it to something specific in our experience. Or we think the fear has to do with that thing out there that we have basically no control over. We try to make the fear go away. The practical mystic point of view is we're going to look at these symptoms and see it as something deep in us, the wisdom that lives in our beingness, the wisdom that we are, is bringing this symptom up for us to see something which was otherwise unseeable and has been causing us great difficulty for a long time. When we learn to work with that process and understand that what's being presented to us is here to help us, and we learn the tools, the skills, the perspectives to be able to work with this, which are actually not complicated at all, we can work with this process and move the cause, the deep cause in us that has us walking through life as fear waiting to happen. as self-doubt waiting to happen. Because the source, the root, the kernel of that lives in us, in our being, in our body. And it's just waiting for the right circumstances in life to have it go boom again. Why? Because life is always trying to show us where these hidden things are in us that, whether we know it or not, are deeply, deeply impacting our ability to be able to fully embody and come out into this world as who we truly are. So the third point is the symptom, the fear, the distress, the anxiety, is healing trying to happen. And when we begin to work with it, we can get down to the root of it. One of the reasons why this particular topic for me is so important is that right now in the world, we are living at a time, and will be for many years to come, where the nature of the world is going to be forcing this stuff up in us. Life outside and around us is going to get more and more challenging. It needs to, it's meant to. It is healing trying to happen on this planet. We are being birthed out of whatever it is that we've been tangled up in that's been keeping human beings down for a very long time. And we're being birthed into something very, very, very different. And in order for that birth to be successful, we are needing to deal with these things that, whether we know it or not, are very deep in us and keeping us participating with, stuck in, locked in something very old and very limiting. And if we don't see this with the right lenses, it's going to get very challenging, because we're going to be trying to shove things back down in us, get away from them. And life is trying to say, no, 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 here it is, deal with this so that you can be free of it. Now, simply knowing what I've shared with you so far, while it is the beginning of something that's truly transformative, just knowing it will make absolutely no difference in your life. It might give you something cool to talk about or think about, something interesting to share on social media, but will lead to very little actually changing for you. So I'd like to offer you something that will transform your life, but only if you do it. I call what I teach practical mysticism. Mysticism meaning direct contact and communication with universal wisdom and love. And practical, referring to our everyday, day-to-day life. Practical mysticism is a way of living that is multidimensionally pragmatic. So when you start looking at your everyday, day-to-day experience through different lenses, not through the ones that we've been given or that seem to be built into us, but consciously chosen lenses, you'll begin to see that life is desperately trying to free you from limitation almost constantly. It's seeing this and then responding to it. This will transform your day-to-day lived experience of who you are and of what's possible for you. I'd like to offer you something for free. I've published a course called Unleash Yourself, Finally Breaking Free. This will teach you the basic skills, the points of view, and the simple techniques that will allow you to do the work to free yourself at the root from your inner demons. There's a link below in the description that will take you to more information, and I would encourage you to sign up while it's still available at no charge. My intention with my messages is to inspire and motivate you to free yourself from limitation so that you can be who you were meant to be. Practical mysticism shows you how to allow universal wisdom and love to guide you in freeing your unique genius, the individual spark of the divine that you already are. And I suggest to you that this is your purpose, to free that within you which is already free. The unlocked, unlimited, and unleashed version of you that knows what the heck you're doing here. And how do you do this? Well, first things first, you learn how to view all of the stuff of your everyday daily life through different lenses. So I hope that what I've shared with you today gives you some new lenses to try on, and that you'll respond to what you begin to see through those new lenses. And please don't miss the opportunity to get yourself registered for my Unleash Yourself course for free. That link is in the description. And if you want to see more of these types of videos, click the subscribe button now. Give it a like while you're there. And share it with somebody who you think could really use this right now. So thank you for your time and your most precious resource, your attention.